Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, I would like to present to you a normal-ass podcast. Yeah, that's right, a normal-ass podcast. But as a stunning audio performance, as presented by Gavin Yeager and Dylan Loper, I present to you the podcast based off your favorite YouTube show. I don't know if it's your favorite, but it's whatever. I present to you After Hours, the show, the podcast!
This is the After Hours, the show, pre-show, I guess, before I interview Nicholas Tabarrok, guy from Darius Studios. That's his studio. He made it. It's pretty cool. Meanwhile, I have no clue where Dylan is, because I've been checking, and Dylan is not anywhere to be seen. So that's kind of funny, isn't it? What up, Dylan?
Hello?
Yeah, what's good, bro?
Okay.
We have 6 minutes left until he shows up.
Yep.
I'm prepped. I'm ready.
That sound alright?
Yeah, you sound actually better than you normally do. Do I sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a limit. Although I think it might have been because I started the meeting early. So I think we're only going to be able to talk to him for a good, about a half hour. So we're going to have to, not dwell on things. Did you end up actually watching any Fugget About It? Or did
No.
so you didn't research it at all?
Wait. Hold up. I got this. Funny moments.
Oh, forget about it. Funny, yeah. Forget about it. Funny moments. And you got 4 minutes until we start.
I'll watch it on 1.5 speed.
Well, Justice Kyra
We got it.
will protect abortion rights.
I could just hear it.
Wow, that could have been terrible. What happened? You got a wiener stuck in your throat. I tried giving you mouth to mouth, but I just kept so I gave you that behind leg.
Petey, where's your father? I like eggs.
Groove is out. He was in here. Then I was like, bro, this is a very important day for me. You could not be in here.
They could have provided some feedback from the back. This is a 3-year-old video. How is this show?
The show's from, I think the show started in 2013.
Oh, wow.
What?
Here to kill us.
Oh my god.
Do you think it's, what do you think about it?
It's funny. They said sausage was stuck in his throat.
Yeah. So, yeah, it started in 2012. It's a Canadian.
Wow.
Because I'm pretty sure Nicholas we're on a first name basis, right? I mean, we're not. Or do we call him Nicholas or do we call him Mr. Tabarrok?
Stay-at-home moms.
I don't know.
We've got 1 minute left. I'd pause the video. You got. I watched a lot of Forget About It in preparation for this. I watched a good couple episodes, a couple hours worth.
How has this show only been since 2012, but it only has 3 seasons?
Oh yeah, because it only lasted for 4 years. It went from 2012 to 2016. So technically, the show hasn't really been active in about 8 years.
Hey guys.
Oh, hello, hi.
How are you? Let me just hang on. I'm not deliberately trying to hide myself. I just had my video off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, and it's really quiet on my side. Okay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi. I'm Gavin. This is my co-host Dylan.
Hello.
Fantastic. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
And you are Nicholas Tabarrok
I am.
from Darius Films. That is how you say it, right? It's Darius?
You're one of the people that got it right on the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
I get many different pronunciations, but Darius is exactly the right one. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no worries. But yeah, well, we just figured, on the Forget About It YouTube, they did some sort of recent post, and so thought we'd sort of try and strum up some information and sort of see any insights onto the production or just sort of anything. But
Yeah, fantastic. First of all, thank you
Yes,
for reaching out and thank you for showing interest. That really makes me happy to hear and see that there's an audience for the show and people are watching it. We we have a fantastic following on YouTube. We have over
Mhm.
1 million subscribers and several tens of millions of views. So we knew that there's an appetite. We knew that we had an audience.
You're rather than rebooting the show, because I know the show ended in 2016, right?
Correct.
Rather than rebooting it, you're bringing it back with sort of just short clips to sort of, is it like a test the waters, or is it sort of more just to give the community some love?
It's a fantastic question. It's a very astute and smart question, and the answer is both.
Mhm.
If these aren't designed to be a teaser, they exist on their own. They're their own product. They are they are standalone. That was the phrase I was looking for. They're
Okay.
standalone episodes that work on their own. However, of course, we're always looking to do a more formal television typical reboot. So we are looking for that as well, and we're seeing if we can put that together at the same time. So really, the best answer to the question is it's both.
Okay. So I can sort of see it. You can like sort of stem out of it. You can see how the reaction is to new content being put out, and then maybe that be able to influence or sort of gain attention on maybe a reboot. Would the reboot be with Nine Story?
Yeah, absolutely. No, no, they're my partners. They've been with the show from the beginning. They're fantastic partners. They're great animators. Absolutely, they'd be a part of it.
Okay. On the show, I'd like to get a little bit onto the idea of it and sort of the beginning of it. It started in around 2012, right?
Correct. Yeah, you've done your homework. You know your stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So where did the whole idea for the show actually come from?
Well, it's funny. So, you said it started in 2012, which is correct insofar as that's when it reached the public.
Hmm.
But Willem Wenekers and I, who's the co-creator of the show,
Okay.
we kicked around the idea for about 10 years. It's probably early 2000s, 2001, maybe 2002,
Hmm.
that we first came up with the idea. Which, by the way, I mean, it's 2024 now. It sounds like a forever ago, but that's not atypical in film and television. Like a 10-year gestation period from concept to airing is not abnormal.
Hmm.
Um, so what happened was Will and I were already friends, and he was a writer and I was a fledgling, early producer, and trying to make some features together. And I saw these, animated, really short greeting cards. It was actually somebody who, sends me a Merry Christmas, whatever it was, Happy Birthday. And these animated emailed greeting cards were sort of becoming very popular.
Hmm.
I thought to myself, clearly people aren't spending money on this. This obviously they're doing it for free or for a buck or two. So animation must be getting much more cheaper and manageable. So I called Will up and got together. I said, let's come up with an animated series. And at the time, again, this is early 2000s, my two, or I think Will and I, both of us, our two favorite shows were The Sopranos and The Simpsons. And we're like, how do we combine that? What is the stepchild of Sopranos and Simpsons? And that's how we came up with Forget About It.
Yeah, okay. I can definitely see a lot of Sopranos references in it. Although The Simpsons, that's sort of interesting. I've shown the show to a lot of people, and they usually liken it more towards Family Guy.
Well, Family Guy, you're absolutely right. I'm a huge Family Guy fan. I love it. And I think you're right. Family Guy, I think the edge and aggressiveness, and I think we push the kind of R-rated bits a bit more along the lines of Family Guy.
Yeah.
But at the time, I don't. You probably know this stuff better than I do because you seem to really know your stuff. When did Family Guy first air?
Family
Do you
Guy
know?
was sometime in the 90s. I don't know exactly.
Yeah,
To be honest, I'm not too crazy about it. When it started out, it was great, but now it's become sort
right,
of,
right,
uh,
right, right. Well, but yeah, when between Simpsons, Family Guy, like we loved both those shows. It was sort of like that and Sopranos. That was kind of how the DNA of this show came to be.
mhm. Okay. So, where did all of the characters come from? So I know, like, Jimmy can be like a Tony Soprano sort of ripoff, but like for the other characters, what sort of inspirations did you get for them?
You know, I don't want to speak for Will, maybe in the back of his head there were places he got these characters from, but the two of us kind of just beat them out together. We'd sit around, and by the way, it's hard to have more fun than that. Like in terms of work, sitting around with a great writer and a good friend and coming up with ideas and coming up with characters is kind of like the most fun job in the world.
Oh, no, I know.
And so the two of us, would just over the course of, weeks and months, well, what about this? What about that? And it came up organically. We liked the idea of, wouldn't it be fun if this seemingly cute little girl who's less than, 10 years old, 8 years old, she's the real danger.
Yeah.
She's the threat. She's the killer. She's the one that really got her father's DNA. And she's the one that wants to get back to the mafia life. And the teenage boy growing up in this family of mobsters, he's a nerd and he's a book lover and he's gentle and so forth. So those are some of the comedic things we came up with. And McCool probably, the RCMP cop,
Oh,
he
yeah.
probably changed the most. He originally was really kind of wimpy. Our original conception of him was that the Falcone family pushed him around and he sort of did what and he was like really kind of weak-chinned and wimpy and sort of like they bossed him around.
Mhm.
And then over the course of development, we swapped him a little bit and evolved him a little bit. So he's the McCool we see now, who's has a very clear moral compass, but he is tough and he's physical and he's like an athlete and he's got broad
Yeah,
shoulders.
he actually like has something over the Falcons. Definitely.
Exactly. And just the physical prowess, like if you're going to cast McCool as live action, he'd be Chris Evans, he'd be Chris Hemsworth,
Yeah.
broad shoulders and the muscles and so forth. And the other character that I think we had a ton, I mean, I love all these characters,
Mhm.
but the other one that Will and I really had fun with, and I just gravitated to as a backstory was Cheech. And we had this idea that Cheech in his mind was one of the Brat Pack. So Cheech in his mind hung out with Dino and Frank and Joey Bishop and all the Brat Pack.
He's like an older mafia sort of person.
Exactly. But in reality, he was like so on the outskirts, like they wouldn't know any of them.
Mhm.
If you were to speak to Dean Martin or Sammy Davis Jr. or Frank
Yeah,
Sinatra,
Frank Sinatra.
and you
They
say
had no clue who he is.
exactly. That was sort of our envisioning of Cheech. But I just love him. I
He's
love.
my favorite character personally.
Oh, great. Yeah.
It's him, and then McCool. So you literally talked in detail about my two favorite characters.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Mhm. And I really think those are the two characters that I like their voice actors the most. I think their voice actors did a great job. How did scouting those voice actors work? Were you in charge of that, or was that anywhere involved with you?
Yeah, for sure. Not in every role, but absolutely Jimmy. So Tony Napo, who is a Canadian actor,
Mhm.
right from the very beginning, like when the show was just an idea, Tony Napo was my guy to voice Jimmy. I think he's the perfect voice. He's an actor I'd worked with in live action several times already. He was a friend of mine. So Tony was my go-to and my suggestion, and I think everybody agrees that he's just perfect for that
I
role.
definitely agree.
And the rest, God, so long ago now, because I think we cast these, as you just said, the show went on air in 2012, so we probably cast the roles in 2010. So it's 14 years ago
It's been a
now.
long time. It's
It's
been
been a
8 years
long time.
since the show's been off air.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I may be hazy. Willem may have known, or Vince Camiso, my partner in Nine Stories, may have known
Mhm.
some of the other actors personally. But as I remember, I think we just did, the typical casting, put out a casting call, got the voice auditions in, listened to a whole bunch, selected the ones we liked the best, did callbacks, a very traditional way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than, again, Tony Napo, who was sort of like, yep, he's the guy.
I love it. You've done multiple times. You've said that you've done live action work for them. So is he's an actor that I know that with Darius Films you've done other films and work throughout the year. So he's someone that's been in one of those.
Yeah, it's been a little while. We're overdue to work together again. But yes, I knew him as a live action actor prior to Forget About It getting greenlit. That's right. So I had already worked with him a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It's very interesting that you come from a background where you've done so many live action projects, and then you got into the show for a little while. And I think actually that gives it a very good background that you've got so much experience that you're able to put a lot into it. And I know Darius Films is in LA and in Toronto, correct?
Correct. That's right.
So, are you from Canada yourself, and you
Exactly.
moved
Yep.
over to LA?
Exactly right. Canadian, born in Toronto, grew up in Toronto, moved to LA. Now I'm a dual citizen. I'm both American and Canadian, have an office in both places and go back and forth.
Okay, because I asked around. I'm not the only one providing these questions. I also asked some people in the community, and they asked questions sort of around, scouting areas in Canada. And also someone asked about there was a football episode, so they asked how much you had to learn about the Canadian Football League in preparation for that.
No, all the writers, I don't do any of the individual episode writing. Will is the genius. He had a team of writers during production, but Willem is really the creative force and the showrunner of the show.
Okay.
So I didn't have to know. I didn't then, and I still don't know anything about Canadian
Yeah.
football or American football for that matter, to be honest. But all the writers were Canadian, so it's something they grew up with. So it wasn't like they had to go learn it. They were Canadian, are
Well,
Canadian.
well, if all the writers are Canadian, does that cause a problem with their writing Americans in?
So I'll tell you something. Growing up in Canada, the border for cultural product is so porous that unlike growing up in France or Australia or Italy, Canadians grew up on American television, American movies, American music, American books, American magazines. So we get it. We grew up watching, yeah, I'm going to my own age now, my own era, the Flintstones and Gilligan's
Oh,
Islands
for
and
sure.
Magnum PI. So our shows were American shows. So that's why I think Canadians, the translation to sort of get American television isn't needed. It just, we grew up on American television.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And then so you weren't directly involved with the writing of the episodes, but so you were more of like an original idea, and then at Darius, you work as a producer, right? So you were just more behind backing the show as a producer.
Correct. Exactly. So exactly right. Came up with the original idea, and then I took it to Nine Stories and brought them aboard as the animation company and sales company for the film, for the series rather. So I was very lucky that I have two fantastic partners. I have Willem Wenekers as a creative partner who really came up with the brilliance of the show. And I have Vince Camiso in Nine Stories as my business partner who really ran with the business thing. So I was very fortunate that on both sides of the equation, I had excellent partners.
Okay. Well, I'm very curious. As a producer, were you active in the show? Like, were you in working on it, or did you just pop in every once in a while to check in and see how things were going, see if the voice acting in the script, or if the actual animation was going well?
Yeah. So the latter, I want, in television, you have a writer's room where you've got a handful of writers Monday to Friday, 8, 10, sorry, not 8, 10, 12-hour days writing scripts. I wasn't in those rooms. That is a intensive, full-time, very creative job. I would get the scripts after they came up with them, and I would just give my thoughts, my notes, share my ideas. They would take some of them, not take others.
Yeah.
That's sort of how the process works. So I would give my input. Same as on animation, same as on I was absolutely not the front line of any of those tasks.
Mhm.
I was the guy, as you say, kind of popping in, looking at things, offering my ideas, offering my notes, when helpful.
I'm kind of curious. Because the show it teeters a little bit more on the mature side. I know you're inspired by The Simpsons, but you're much more mature. Did you ever get in trouble for a joke that you made on the show? Did anyone ever send in a complaint, or was it smooth sailing?
If anybody complained, it never reached my ears.
Okay.
So if there were complaints, nothing to a degree that became a real issue. No. I mean, sometimes internally we'll discuss something. Like sometimes we'll stop a joke or stop a level of something before it even makes it to an episode. Will like someone come up and, you know what, is that pushing it too much? And you sort of say yes. One of our rules is we don't want anyone to be hurt by the show. We don't want to be mean-hearted. We'll be edgy, we'll be aggressive, and we have violence and, you know, all of those things. But we don't ever want to be kind of hurtful or mean.
Okay, yeah, for sure. It's not you're not targeting anybody. You're not sort of
No,
it's just it's satire, really.
that's a great word. I'm glad you used it. We're not targeting anyone. That's exactly right.
Mhm. And just sort of like on the whole, I mean, Forget About It is genuinely like a pretty big show. I was trying to watch it earlier on my Roku and I found out that there's a full channel just dedicated to it. I mean, do you ever watch the show or do you ever just sort of look back and
Well, it's
gas like
funny.
it's sit in the light, feel real good about it?
Very infrequently, but that's not limited to Forget About It. You know, I've made about 30 movies. I never watch them again because you're so deeply involved with them when you're making them that by the time they're done and finished, you've seen it in different iterations and different versions. You've seen 8, 10, 12, 20 versions of the movie. And the same goes for the television. I've read the scripts, I've seen the animatics, I've seen the rough cuts. So I don't often, but just because of this process of creating new material, now that we're back at it, I started to go back and watch some, and some I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all about, like you really forget, you know, it's been a few years and
Yeah, it's been eight
you
years. Yeah,
forget
you have
about
to
some of
get
the
it.
gags. Yeah, and I was really pleasantly reminded of how fun it was.
That's honestly that's great. But I remember I brought up I asked a good couple questions to people. And I don't know if you would know about this, but is there any difference between the English and the French version of the show? Someone had wanted me to ask that, and I was like I wasn't too sure what that meant. Maybe the
That's
French dub?
That's yeah, it would be a dub. There isn't like a different show in French. It would be a dub. I mean, we try to keep it as identical as possible, but of course there are language and cultural things which change. So you put me on the spot. I can't think of one off the top of
Oh
my head,
yeah. Well,
but
that's
there will
that's
be a
completely fine. I
phrase.
wouldn't I wouldn't
Yeah,
be able
there'll
to
be a
answer that
phrase in
question.
English that doesn't translate and isn't used on a word per word basis in French. But generally speaking, it is a literal translation. Yeah.
Hmm. And so I remember you said that you had been shown, some of the animations and some of the original drawings and had read the scripts. For the theme song, did they create multiple versions of that, or did they just sort of create one and just was it? Like, did you hear any variants of it or have any details in its production?
Yeah. Again, it's going back uh, 12 years or, probably, if it aired in 2012, we would have made the theme song in 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I, for sure, it's not like right off the bat. Like there were versions, there were honing, there were feedback, but there were, I can say this. Well, I can't even say there's absolute certainty because I don't fully remember,
Okay.
but I don't believe there's like two entirely different versions, like version A or version B, which are two entirely different songs. It was never that. It was like we could either go this way or that way. It was just more the final one that we went with. Of course, that had several processes along the way, which it got honed and so forth to this point.
Just sort of like here's a base, and then you add on and add on and
Exactly.
add on until
Exactly.
finally you reach the final.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a very good. I think it's better than Family Guy, honestly.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually pretty curious about Darius Films. I'd like to hear about some of your other work that you've done. I heard that Stockholm is a pretty big production that you did recently with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So Stockholm, everybody knows the phrase Stockholm syndrome, right? And everybody
Mm.
knows what that means, that the hostage ends up being loyal and standing behind the person who took them hostage. Like it's a weird, strange thing, right?
Yeah.
So, including myself, until I got involved with the movie, I always knew the phrase, but didn't know its origin. And the origin is that in 1973 in Stockholm, this guy, a bank robber, robbed a bank, and then took about three or four of the tellers, the employees there, hostage for about 3 or 4 days.
Oh
And over the
wow.
course of that siege, the police were outside, he's inside with them. And over the course of that siege, they ended up, the hostages, being protective of the bank robber. So that's what the movie was about. Ethan Hawke played the bank robber. Noomi Rapace, who's a fantastic Swedish actor. You know, she was the Swedish version of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Wow.
She played the main kind of hostage that he bonds with. Yeah, that was a great film. Really, really enjoyed making it, and I think it turned out very well.
I heard, I'm saying this could be completely wrong because I read this off of your Wikipedia page, but I heard that Stockholm actually had a very interesting way that it was funded through the hiring of the Swedish actors that you just mentioned. Was there, is that true?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean. So I didn't know I had a Wikipedia page. I've never looked at it. I've never
Oh no,
asked.
I know. Well, there's not too much on it, but
Yeah.
there was a bit.
So I don't know what you're referring to, but I can add this much clarity. It may be what you're asking.
Mhm.
The financing for the film came from what's called a treaty co-production, where two countries, in this case Canada and Sweden, uh, pooled their resources in order to finance the movie. So each country contributed some element of the financing. Now, in order to qualify and make that work, that did mean that we needed some actors from Canada and some actors from Sweden. So that's how it worked out. So that could be what the Wikipedia was.
Okay, yeah, that was actually exactly what I was talking
Okay,
about.
got it. Got it. Yeah.
I'm curious how so you didn't did someone approach you or did you approach whoever had written the script with to do the film?
Stockholm?
Yeah, Stockholm.
Yeah, yeah. The director, Robert Boudreau, who directed the film, it was sent to him first, and then he brought it to me. Yeah, so that's how it came to be. And it was originally a magazine article. It was adapted from a New Yorker magazine, really lengthy article, the kind you don't make anymore,
Oh, okay.
11,000 words or something
Yeah.
in the 70s, at the time the incident happened. So we optioned this article, it's 50 years old now. It was, 45 years old at the time we made the movie,
Mhm.
but a 45-year-old article. We optioned it. Rob adapted it for the script. And yeah, so he brought it to me.
That's actually kind of amazing that you took it from I mean I'm surprised I'd like to hear about that rather than hearing about the financing of it. That's a
Right.
really interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Very interesting.
I'm curious about your history with Darius Films. Like it started in what, 1996?
Wow. Either you're really good at your research or Wikipedia is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to hear about how you formed it and everything.
So 1996 is the answer. Did it form that? It's sort of, kind of. I optioned, sorry, not optioned. I'm still stuck on Stockholm. I incorporated the company in 96, but at the time I didn't know anything. I was like 20 something. I didn't know anything about the film business. So it was not a production company. It was just me setting out to say, I want to make movies one day. So I'm going to start. How do you start? Well, create a company. So I paid the $300 or whatever it was
Yeah.
to create a company. So yes, 1996 was the date of incorporation, but I definitely wasn't a full-fledged producer. It wasn't a really going concern as a real company. It wasn't until the 2000s that it really became a self-sustaining company.
You started
So
hiring people and such.
exactly. And as I said, I was born in Toronto, so that's all I knew. And Toronto in Canada in general has a very thriving service production industry, meaning that from all over the world, but mostly American, a lot of American companies, the big studios,
Mhm.
go there and make films because it's cheaper and there's a tax credit. So there's a really healthy service production business, and that's how I started. But I never wanted to only be a service producer. And what that means is you don't own the material, you don't develop it, you're paid by somebody to produce the movie.
Okay.
That's not really my interest, not what I wanted to do. But I started that way because that's what you can do in Canada, but I always wanted to be a producer of my own material. And I slowly, in the early 2000s, started optioning, creating, doing my own things. And then by 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, I was able to say, nope, no more service. I'm only producing films that I own and that I want to make and that I, developed myself.
Yeah, that's great. So you started out with producing for everyone else, and then I noticed you have a lot of is it short films that you have a lot of like started off doing like smaller sort of like B movie lower
No,
budget.
no, lower budget, yes, but not short films.
Okay.
I may have made one short in my life, I think. I'm a big proponent of not getting stuck in shorts. I know a lot of filmmakers that have made 4, 5, 6 shorts, and they can, it's a calling card. I'm like, make one, make two, just to learn, be on set. But after that point, you got to make the leap. You got to take the jump and say, no, the next film is going to be a feature. So I think I made one short only. I'm not a big proponent of making shorts.
Okay. Well, I know I'm pretty sure Stockholm was revealed. It was first shown at a film festival, right?
Tribeca. Yep,
Yeah,
Tribeca,
yeah, yeah.
2018, I think.
Hmm. I know a lot of filmmakers like to do more short films and do those at film festivals. So I'm glad that you're actually not and doing more full productions. I mean,
For sure.
yeah. Well, in terms of Darius, what's your most proud moment that you've had with the company?
You know, I would say that not of any particular film or production. That's not to say there's anything wrong with them or I'm not
Hmm.
proud of them, but I wouldn't look at anything and say, I'm proud to have made that. What I would say, I, I struggle with the word pride, I don't know, but not so much proud of isn't the words I'd use, but what I'm pleased about, which makes me happy, is that we have given a lot of work to a lot of people who now work in the business. We've made a lot of first-time director films, and someone's got to give a director their first break, and it's very, very difficult, and there's an uphill battle. But we've made films with a lot of first-time directors, and I I'll use your words, I'll take pride in the fact that those directors have gone on to have careers in the business. We've had a lot of interns and assistants and so forth who have come through the company and now have jobs all over the place. We're a really small company, but over the course of the 25 years we've been doing this, we've probably had, I don't know, 40, 50 employees, never at one single time, but over the years. And I think most of them, I know they're agents, there's an executive at Fox, there's an executive at HBO. They're all over the place in the business now, and they got their start with us. So that's kind of what I take the most pleasure in, having
Yeah,
having
wow.
given careers and jobs to a lot of people.
So it's not really about the what we've made, what we've done. It's the people that we've created and the positions that we've been able to afford them. I think that's really great.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I had made, The Godfather, maybe I'd say I'm proud of The Godfather. But yeah, in my case, it's more about the careers I've afforded people.
Hmm. Well, you made Forget About It. That's essentially the animated
Yeah, sure.
Godfather.
Sure. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's the animated Godfather.
Mm. I just I was not expecting to get like a news of a reboot, to be honest. I thought the second I was gonna ask that you're gonna be like, ooh, that's behind closed doors, but
Well,
immediately you were
well,
like, oh, actually, we're
well,
testing
well,
the
well, hang
waters.
on. Let me qualify that because I want to be super clear because so
No,
not
no, no, no excitement's getting started. It could happen.
it could. It's just something we would like to happen. We hope this helps lead to it. I am not announcing a reboot.
Sure, sure.
I don't want the misinformation out there and people coming
No,
to me. What the hell are
no,
you talking about?
no. But I mean, just you mentioned the YouTube community has like it's over 1 million
Yeah,
subscribers on there.
yeah.
That's just do you I mean, do you at least feel proud of that? I mean, do,
Sure.
do you
Yeah,
do you ever
absolutely.
do you ever do you ever look to those people or do you ever read comments on the
Oh my
videos
God.
or
I love reading the comments. I mean, we have such a passionate fan base that yes, that I'll read comments more often than I'll look at old episodes. The comments are so heartwarming. They're really great to see. They're on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're on all of the socials. To see what people say, my favorite show, I love the show, it has to come back, when we're going to see new episodes. It's very, very encouraging. Really, really encouraging.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you've been keeping people waiting for 8 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully not too much longer. I mean, as I said, October this month, there'll be more content coming.
Mhm. And now we don't have a whole lot of time left, so I'd like to, if you have anything that you'd like to announce or anything you'd like to say or promote, that feel free to.
Well, it's very kind of you. I thank you for the time. I'm about to start a new film. I'm shooting a film in November, a little over a month from now, about 6 weeks from now, called 109 Billion Followers. It's live action, it's not animated.
Okay.
The great J.K. Simmons, who is a phenomenal
J.K.
actor.
Simmons.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And that's shooting in New York City, and we'll be posting that next year, and hopefully it'll be in the festival and theaters either end of 25 or early 26. So that's just coming up next.
Okay. Wow. I'll definitely try and watch it. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, it was great meeting with you, Nicholas. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Gavin. I appreciate your interest, and it's too bad Dylan kept interrupting, but other than that, it was a good conversation.
Yep, for sure. Okay.
All right, really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh,
Yep.
so when and how can I hear this and possibly share it?
I will try my best to get this done today. I will email you the link once it's done.
Very cool. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
no worries. You have yourself a great night.
Thanks, Gavin. Bye.
Yep, goodbye. What's up, Dylan? Dylan, are you here?
Yeah.
Did you hear bro say? Sorry, Dylan kept interrupting. You were just sort of. Well, I mean, I guess I was dominating there, wasn't I?
I didn't know how to butt in there.
Do you think that I did a good job?
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you still have time? Do you want to record like a little bit of the rest of the podcast? We've only got a minute left in the Zoom call before the whole thing falls apart. Because I'm not paying $16 for Zoom. It's $16. It's not fair. Recording, it says less than a minute. We're running out. We're running out of time.
Okay, I got probably like 10 minutes.
10 minutes? That's not that much time. You go do what you gotta do.
I gotta go eat dinner.
Yeah, go eat din. All right, I'll talk to you later, man.
Bye.
Goodbye. That was today's episode. We interviewed with the very kind man. Nicholas Tabarrok, everybody. Go watch his new movie. Actually, you can't watch it. Watch it when it comes out. And that's all for today.